It's Wednesday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Alabama Slam Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? Patrick Akers.
And I'm Steven.
And we're going to go ahead and jump right into it this week. We've got notes about a handful of things, most notably the big press conference, if you want to call it that, whatever they're calling it, kickoff or some shit from WWE. But we're going to save that for the second half of the show. We're going to start with Dynamite. We had the 3 out of 3, or third of 3 matches between Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. And this is one of those where you're like, okay, well, I got to tune in for this. Because, I mean, that match alone was worth watching the show for. They've put on 2 bangers so far, and this one didn't disappoint either. What'd you guys think?
Well, we'll let Steven's smiling, so he has something he has to say.
No, I thought the match was awesome. It was a great match. I thought this goes into my hate of AEW rankings, but the match was an amazing match. I'm looking forward to the swap that's going on there, where Swerve is you're going to become more or less a good guy, and Page is going to be the bad guy. I'm fine with that. It's just the rankings I have issues with.
Right.
Well, I don't know if the rankings are going to make any more. They're not. They're just going flying by the seat of their pants. I don't know why they decided to start doing them again if they're not going to follow them in any kind of way. But I'm just gonna give up on that point because we can belabor that home. We probably will.
Oh, it just bugs me. I mean, the week before, Strickland was 4-0, Page was 4-0. He was number 1. Hangman was number 2. Wasn't a tie. Same rankings. Wasn't a tie. Suddenly they go to a time limit draw. They each now have the same rankings: 4-1, 4-0, 0-1. 4-0-1, now it's a tie. Doesn't even matter that Strickland has, how many matches over him? 2? 2 matches over him already? I mean,
3.
2, yeah. Well, yeah, 2 now. 2-0-1 against Hangman. Listen, like Corey said, I thought the match was fantastic. I mean, these 2 dudes have amazing chemistry with each other. You could kind of see the Swerve face turn slowly kind of happening weeks before. I mean, the crowd just kind of loves him, so it really doesn't matter what he does. Hangman's now kind of in a weird position, and he sort of reminds me a little bit of Drew McIntyre on WWE because they're both guys who were main event players before, who, for whatever reason, the main event scene has kind of passed them by just a little bit, and now they have an axe to grind. So they're in some. Drew is doing a better job at conveying that. I think he's coming off as a better bad guy.
100%. But Hangman isn't there yet. I'll give him that.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to get to Drew, but he's not there yet.
Yeah, Hangman's not there in his story yet. You're right. I bet I could just watch these 2 dudes wrestle for forever. I mean, just keep it going. And now we'll see how Samoa Joe fits in with these 2 guys. But man, Samoa Joe, bad beat there, my guy.
It's almost like Tony Khan hates him.
A little bit, yeah. You're the champ. You're waiting on a contender. Now you just got the belt. Now you got to face 2 guys. So if you go by Papa Pump standards, you have 33 1/3, but then the 66 2/3, but that classic little thing. But yeah, I'm excited for the match at Revolution. It should be good.
The thing I think that bugs me is how this continues to make Tony Khan just look like a moron. I mean, you got a match out there. It's like Hangman says, "No, I'm not gonna wrestle another 5 minutes." The guy who is supposed to be in charge in the background says, "Okay, you don't have to. I'll give you what you need. You can have a triple threat match, even though you were number 2.
Yeah, they really could have drugged this out a week, and I think this is where AEW not having an on-screen authority figure really hurts. Because
hold on. They've got on-screen authority figures now.
Wait, time out.
In AEW?
Yeah, who are you talking about?
Nicholas and Matthew Jackson are on-screen authority figures.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that too as well. They need like a Nick Aldis or an Adam Pearce, some kind that really should be Tony Schiavone's role. We've talked about that. To help fill in some of the gaps like this. Like this is what you use those people for. But I mean, yeah, nitpicking here, I just would have had it drug out for an entire week and just had it like not immediately be like, and Tony has made the call from the back, like it just happened. How can you make the call like? Anyway, whatever. That's we're getting in the weeds there.
They said something that I kind of agreed with on commentary here. We've already seen them, have a Texas blood match that turned into vampirism. We've had a home invasion. What's left? What else do you need from this story?
If it was in WWE, this would probably be the end of it. But since this is AEW, like there's just another 5-star classic that they could put on that would, appease the fan base and make sense for that. Since it is more like sport based. I mean, I wouldn't have circled these two guys this quickly back to each other anyway. We talked about that before when we were talking about the main event title scene. You
absolutely have to though, because you don't have anything else. This is the only thing that is your bread and butter at this stage, other than Eddie and Daniel Bryan.
I mean, yeah, they're a little light on stories, but that could change here as early as I think I read a slight spoiler that Ospreay's probably going to make an appearance on not this coming week's Dynamite, but the next. And then obviously Mercedes Moné and Okada seem to be headed their way on the big Boston show that they announced.
Do you remember back in the day, WCW, when they were just chucking out contracts left and right to get people all over, like $1 million contracts left and right to get big names, and how that played out for them?
It did not play out well, particularly because they had guys like Eddie Guerrero and Chris Jericho and Benoit, who they had locked up in, and the mid card and lower mid card, who then went on to be huge superstars for the other company about half a decade later. But I will say, I think Mercedes Moné and Okada are different. I don't think this is Brutus the Barber Beefcake the WCW threw stuff out to, called him the Big Booty Man. Like this is a little bit different. These are two stalwarts, and I think you can build around.
It's no Kiss Demon, I'll give you that. It's no ICP. it's no the Misfits and Vampiro. But let's say Mercedes makes her debut. She's going against, I guess, either probably Toni Storm or Purrazzo. Then what?
Yeah. Well, you just have her. Mercedes, I'm not worried about because the women's division is a little less. There's less talent on that side of the locker room. Now, Okada, if you want to say he comes in and he does Danielson, and then what does he do? Well, that's a good question because now we have Ospreay, we have Danielson, we have Moxley, Omega. If he ever comes back, Hangman, Samoa Joe, Swerve. That's what 10 dudes right there.
But they don't showcase. They showcase 4 people. I guess you can say 5, but realistically, they showcase 4 people on any given evening. There's 4 people, and there's a lot of crossover there. They don't know how, and they keep bringing this. I'm gonna bitch about this every time I say it. Quit bringing in other people from other promotions to fill in your spots. If you're not even going to showcase the people that you have sitting in catering.
Well, if the people that you're bringing in are better than the people that are sitting in catering, then
then get rid of those people.
Well, you can, but you don't have to. Let them collect a little check. They can go work on the indies. They're fine.
Like I said last week, the CMLL stuff I'm actually a fan of. I think they're doing a good job with it. It's keeping me intrigued. And if it leads to a Forbidden Door, which I think it's going to after Revolution, then I'm okay with it. And honestly, Forbidden Door, I don't know if they could pull this off. It'd be kind of badass if they went down to like Mexico and did a huge like kind of show? Because there's been talks. I don't know if you guys have seen the reports, but like AEW is looking to do another stadium show this year outside of Wembley and Grand Slam.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know if that is. I don't know if Forbidden Door is the stadium show you do, but
you have multiple luchador factions literally signed to your brand, and you're outsourcing people that have nothing other than we're luchadors fighting the Blackpool Combat Club. It's insert this week's masked person. You literally have people that you put through the Continental Classic in the back that you are not using. You have Penta. You have Ray if he's healthy. I don't know if he's healthy yet or not, because he goes back and forth on what he says on Twitter. You have so many people back there that you could be using, and it's generic luchador.
But I think part of the appeal of AEW, and at least the desire of people within AEW, is to expose American fans to different styles and different types of wrestling and different people from around the world. Like it's a lot less insular than the WWE universe. If
that is their business model, I don't know if that's the best use of his business model, because it is literally losing him ratings. They're not putting in the numbers in the seats either, so I'm not sure how you justify that as a business model.
The numbers are up this week. Rampage was up. I don't know if you got Rampage, the best number it's done in like 3 years. They pulled like 460K. And I think there was some CMLA guys on the Rampage. I get what you're saying, and I get from, if I was calling the shots,
you're way too mad about it, though. Steven's just way too mad about it.
That's because
you're putting way more thought into this than like we probably should. We've spent like 5 fucking minutes on this.
It just frustrates me because I get that it is AEW is an alternative to WWE, in the fact that, much like we'll talk about on Raw, you have probably a quarter of the show is wrestling, a quarter of the show is commercials, and half the show is what South Park would call wrestling. And it's a completely different show than what AEW puts on. And I enjoy the wrestling product. I just want them to give me personalities I care about. And it's hard for me to care about when everything that the 4 people that they're mostly focusing on, with the exception of Swerve and Hangman, are all fighting people that, okay, that's great. If the Blackpool Combat Club loses to random luchadors that they pulled in this week because they beat up the luchadors that were featured last week, I would be shocked. If Orange Cassidy loses to the random in New Japan guy they brought in, who was once a partner or whatever, has a little bit of history, but still, it's random people they keep throwing out there. If those random people, if Eddie Kingston lost to Brian Keith, I would be shocked. It's just featured jobbers, and everything they do, with the exception of 1 or 2 matches, is a featured jobber match. And that is no way.
Time out. Let me read this real quick. This was Swerve Strickland on AEW Storytelling. This was a tweet that I sent to you guys the other day. He was on a podcast recently. This is the Smooth Vega podcast, apparently. Swerve says, AEW does what AEW does at its best. We shouldn't be trying to give the storyline in a format the way another product like WWE has been doing it for 40 plus years. They have it. They mastered it. We are the best in the ring. Just because we're not stopping a show to speak for 30 minutes and do all these melodramatic things doesn't mean that we're not storytelling. We're just giving you an alternative to the storytelling, like the Continental Classic.
I would agree with that statement. You don't need to do it WWE style, but I need to care about the characters that are involved in that storytelling. And right now you're handing me jobbers. And if all you're fighting is the minions, I don't care.
Well, I mean, that's basically what fucking WWE does half the time, too.
No, they've got that half of that story of the monologuing in the thing where they're giving you story around it. It's the WWE main shows are nothing but commercials for the pay-per-views. That I have no delusions about that. The pay-per-views are where you're going to get your wrestling content on WWE. The rest of it is the melodrama that he's saying that they're not going to do. That's fine.
Well,
that's
like you
two
mentioned,
different storytelling sides.
You mentioned pre-show. We got 20 fucking minutes from Seth and Cody last night. That was too much. It was good. It was really good. It was the best part of the show, but it was too fucking much.
But and again, commercial for the upcoming.
Yeah. Okay.
This is why we brought Steven on, because Steven is a different type of wrestling fan, and he probably is, to his credit, he probably is the majority of wrestling fans. I could watch Hetzer Zero and Bryan Danielson wrestle 45 minutes. And I like that. I enjoy that type of wrestling. And I like that I'm exposed to different type of people. And part of this might be, how would we feel differently if we were, based in Mexico and our main promotion was CMLL and we were watching that and talking about that every single week. And now, oh shit, well, our guys are over on AEW. Let's go watch AEW. That's probably some of the appeal of doing a type of thing like this too.
If you were in Mexico and those were your main guys and you saw them in AEW, would you feel much like a TNA fan when your guys showed up on AEW and just ate pins?
But at least they're being exposed to a broader audience. WWE doesn't do that. WWE tries to convince me that Ivar is going to beat LA Knight in an Elimination Chamber match.
It was a minor thing, but they exposed Jordan Grace.
It was a very, very minor thing. She got thrown out. The CMLO guys have been on Dynamite now for 3 weeks, and they're sitting in the crowd. And like I said, if it's going to lead to a big Forbidden Door match, which I'm a fan of, this is just a different type of storytelling. And at some point, we have to kind of ask ourselves, I think I've made this analogy before. It's a little bit like listen to Metallica and being like, well, why aren't there any trumpets?
I would love to hear the Metallica ska album. Now that you've said that, I need that.
Well, yeah, but it's Metallica doesn't do that. Metallica does, it's heavy power chords and it's a basic drum beat, and here we go. We're going to, pound our head.
But by that same token, if AEW continues to give me Saint Anger and 72 Seasons, I'm not going to continue to listen to Metallica.
And you know what? I think there's still going to be
it's the same reason why I quit watching. It's the same reason why I quit watching WWE a few months ago, and I only just now turned it back on because it's fucking WrestleMania season. Guess what? After WrestleMania season, I'm probably back out again. Right? I'm sorry, Patrick. I didn't mean to.
No, I'm just saying that there's a devoted fan. There's about a devoted fan base of AEW that really, no matter what happens, they are going to watch the product. Now, whether it's a smart business decision to only appeal to the hardcore people and not try to broaden the tent out of the AEW audience, I think that's a broader discussion. That's probably what Steven's getting to. But if this is what they're going to, I just want to I like talking about the show for what it's trying to be. I think is kind of where I'm coming from.
Well, let's switch gears. We've talked about that for way too long at this point. We still got some other things to cover. Sting and Darby Allin versus Ricky Starks and Big Bill went about the way we thought it would, with Sting and Darby getting the titles, only for them to be taken away probably in a few weeks, or less than a few weeks now at this point, probably at the next pay-per-view. Sting still out there jumping off a damn ship, 10 feet high, 12 foot high, 62. Well, how's he? 62, 63 now, probably? He's been 62, it feels like, for 3 fucking years.
I think he's 63, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Man is wild, right?
I just admire that this dude. Listen, Sting could have come into AEW and just straight coasted on his name and done the bare minimum and sold a bunch of T-shirts. But this dude, for better or worse, has come to this locker room and is like, well, I see this dude doing crazy stuff. I see this dude doing crazy stuff. I feel like I'm physically capable of doing crazy stuff. Like, I want to kind of jump off the barricade too. And I mean, he's doing it, and it's kind of crazy. Should he be doing it? I don't know, but it's fun as hell to watch. He's jumping off the thing, and like kudos to Big Bill and Ricky Starks. I thought Big Bill looked really great in this match. He was kind of the guy that stood out to me. The big boss man's slam on the outside to Darby, and just his like cockiness. You can tell he's gotten more comfortable in front of the camera. I don't know if that is a byproduct of working with Ricky Starks, who is a natural in front of the camera. But I thought the match was really good. I really enjoyed it. And then we roll around to the afterbirth of this thing.
Well, hold on.
I thought it was a cluster.
When do you think Stark's contract is up?
I bet Ricky Starks knows the answer to that question.
Because after this, when they gave them the titles, I thought this was going to be something that elevated him somewhere. This has done nothing for him. Those titles did absolutely jack and shit for him.
Now, he could be a victim of circumstance, because we talked about the original plan was Jericho and Omega got hurt. That was the original thing. And then,
if only you didn't have a locker room full of people that you could, do something with. But instead, we're getting FTR and House of Black number 19. There's all kinds of ways you could have done this, and all you've done is given the Young Bucks yet another title run, probably. And
everything I'm reading right now says that it was rumored that Stark's contract was expiring in the end of 2023, but we're a month and a half into 2024, and we haven't heard anything else about him re-signing or anything. So who knows?
Did he go out with an injury at some point?
I can't remember, but they do the thing where they add on the injury time. I think Starks is probably going to go to WWE if there's interest from that side, and I don't know why there wouldn't be. He's probably a dude who works better in that system. I think there are guys like, I'd put Powerhouse Hobbs in that same sort of category. I think they just fit WWE better. But yeah, Steven brought this up. This does seem like just a way to put the tag team titles in the Young Bucks. Now, we could be surprised. Tony Khan could do this thing where at Revolution it ends and Sting is the tag team champion still, and he walks away champion, and Darby comes back the next week on Dynamite and vacates the titles, and we have a tournament. That could happen. This also could just be a way to get the Young Bucks the titles again. And I don't know how you guys felt about the execution of this. So at the end of the match, we have the big confetti falls. Sting's kids come in. They're celebrating. It's a feel-good moment. You kind of knew the Young Bucks were coming out at some point. Boom, here come the Young Bucks. They do the beatdown, right? They beat down everybody. Nobody comes out to help Sting whatsoever. This is the same episode where, was it Claudio and Moxley got jumped by CMLL guys? And Matt Sydal came out, Matt Menard came out, all this sort of stuff came out. Now, I get the gist, and this is the same thing I'm going to complain about to WWE when we talk about Cody. I get the idea about why nobody came out, because the angle is the Young Bucks are now asserting their authority as EVPs, and therefore everybody is, I'm guessing, scared to come out for fear of their job. I need that on screen, though.
Yeah.
I need the Young Bucks to be beating the hell out of Sting and Darby. Some guys come out the back, and Nick or Matt get on the apron and yell and say, if any one of you step foot in this ring, you are fired.
Yeah.
And security, nobody steps in to help, because these are dudes with actual power, right? They're EVPs. But like, I can't, as an audience member, I'm not supposed to do that work for you. You have to lay that story out for me. I'm not going to put the puzzle pieces together. You are entertaining me. I should be watching it. And if that's not part of what the story's going on, that's exactly what the story should be happening. So, again, it's a missed opportunity to, I think even get more heat on the Young Bucks and make even more explicit the things that you're trying to make explicit, which is that these dudes are now, they are the assholes that all the dirt sheets thought that they were.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Like, it seems like you said about WWE, you know, you just need an explanation. And, you know, when we're talking about the Cody situation, so we'll get to that in a few minutes, but we just need
it's storytelling beats. It's storytelling beats. That's all it is. It can't just be, you can't have it both ways. You can't have people get jumped in the ring, security comes running out, and then 35 minutes later, somebody else gets jumped in the ring and nobody comes out.
Yeah.
So,
you got anything else to add on that before we move to Collision?
Again, this goes back to the stupid rankings. Why are Big Bill and Ricky Starks still number one when you got other things going on there? If they vacate those titles and do a tag team tournament, it is going to be the weakest tournament they've ever put on because they've already given all those matches away for the most part. We've already had Private Party and Top Flight. We've already had FTR and House of Black. We've already had Claudio and Moxley against a handful of people. The only people that didn't actually face anybody were Ricky Starks and Big Bill.
I mean, valid point. So the notes for Collision, there's not much. We didn't have much there. Looks like a slip of the tongue from Adam Copeland. Steven said Adam Copeland is excited to see Hangman versus Adam Page versus Samoa Joe. I caught that one as well. You know, he's new still. A few months in the company. We'll give him a little credit. Or a little leeway, we'll say.
Even he doesn't care about these matches. And he's there.
There was one thing I
have
did
a little
like
fun
about,
though.
Yeah, he's having fun. The one thing I did like about something in Copeland's promo, and Eddie did this too, is that they like stopped the promo and they were like, "Young Bucks, we saw what you did. Like, that's a warning. We're not going to let it slide." Like, that's an old school tactic where like baby faces in Memphis would, in their promo time, would talk about other storylines that were happening, and it helped kind of fulfill the universe. So like, I like that Copeland did that. I like that Eddie did that. We got to follow through on it. We got to have some kind of plan to bring that to fruition. We can't just have characters kind of talk about it and nothing happen. Like, the next time the Young Bucks pull some stuff, then the first two guys that need to come down the ramp to save somebody is Adam Copeland and Eddie Kingston. It can't just be the Young Bucks just beat the shit out of everybody. So
I do enjoy the backstage reports that we're getting regarding people that talk trash about the Young Bucks.
Oh, from Brandon Cutler? I do like that. His Twitter, yeah. Brandon Cutler's Twitter it's basically turned into a parody account where he's like, sources close to the Young Bucks say that they're upset that people are blah, blah, blah. It's great stuff. Again, wish that was on screen somehow. Wish you found a way to turn that onto the show. But
yeah.
The thing that annoys me about the Cope opened, he's out there. It exposed something I wasn't aware of. The fact that you have 4 champions on AEW here. We've got Samoa Joe, Christian Cage, Eddie Kingston, and Orange Cassidy. And the rankings are for all of those. So you're number 1 and you can do any of those, which means that your number 1 person isn't going necessarily for your biggest title in there. They can go for the Orange Cassidy title. Why aren't your mid-card champions in your rankings then to be able to go after the bigger titles? And I get what you're just trying to highlight those people, but it makes these rankings stupid. And then you get Daniel Garcia come out, who's been on a winning streak. He's won 5 matches in a row. No, he hasn't. He's won multiple tagged matches, which shouldn't count for anything. And now he's in a match to get the number 1 spot there when he's not even in the top 5.
I need the same energy when I talk about why Cody Rhodes, as the biggest babyface in the company, was so adamant about willing to give his WrestleMania spot away. So if we keep the same energy for that, I'm all for it. I think the rankings are dumb. Let's stop. The rankings are
Yeah.
That is something different that they have done this time, where usually each individual title did have its own ranking. Now everybody's just, all the singles men are kind of lumped together.
I think your points are valid about the rankings. I just feel like we should probably not spend any more time on it in the next few weeks. If I see something about the rankings on our notes for the show, I'm gonna just skip it because we've kind of just run through the ringer. They don't make sense.
Well, let me get this out there.
They shouldn't talk. You made very valid points about all of it. I'm not going to argue.
Let me say one last thing about these rankings then. F the rankings and F Tony Khan for doing them.
I agree with you. Punk was right.
And 2 or 3 months, let him just slowly stop writing it off the show, and we'll never have to think about it again. Because you make a valid point. If I'm the next up in rankings, why don't I want to go after Samoa Joe? Why would I want to be like, let me get that TNT title off of Christian Cage? It doesn't make any sense. Like, if you're going to go for it, fucking go for it, right?
And while we're talking about effing things, F the FTW title and F Hook.
Yeah, they're still trying to make him a fucking thing. I didn't put anything about it in the notes again this week, but they've got him out there. I'm like, fucking get over that. I think that's it for Collision. Let's move on to WWE. The big news of the week was the press conference or kickoff show or whatever you want to call it. Let's jump right in. There were a couple things in the first half of the show.
Well, hold on a second. I want to say one other thing about AEW, because the biggest pop of the night, beyond Adam Copeland, who was the biggest pop on Collision?
Mark Briscoe.
And it was the Las Vegas hockey team mascot.
Well,
the Golden Knights, they're over in Las Vegas, though.
That was this up until Adam Copeland came out. That was the biggest pop on that screen, and they were popping for him during Eddie's backstage promo. So they weren't even caring about Eddie. They were popping for a mascot in the ring, leading the outriggers or outriders or outrunners, whatever the heck the jobber team is out there, that was going to get beat up by Brian Cage, the ultimate jobber.
The Golden Knights are over in Vegas, man. They're Hulk Hogan 1984. They ain't nobody. That's as big as it gets.
Who's the biggest? Who's the biggest bad guy in that ring on Collision? The referee that wouldn't let Mark Briscoe use the table right there. That should tell you everything about this show. When a Las Vegas hockey team mascot is bigger than everybody on your show, and the referee is getting more heat than anybody on your show, you're doing something wrong.
Bro, listen, here's the thing. You don't have to watch it. Right? I didn't watch WWE for a few months. It's fine. Take a little break. Come back. Maybe it'll feel a little refreshing again once you jump back in. Right? Maybe I'm enjoying what I'm watching on WWE right now because I took a few months off. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's that, most of the shit actually fucking matters because they're right before WrestleMania. The last few months, I felt like I watched it before I quit. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm watching people walk around backstage for fucking half of the show, like Swerve says, all this over melodramatic shit. Like, just goddamn, fucking get to it sometimes. You don't have to watch it.
Especially Collision. Collision.
Collision was fucking fire for a few months, and it's just fell the fuck off. Yeah. Anyway, WWE.
We'll get there.
WWE. Let's get to the press conference.
Which had a bigger audience than AEW shows. They had a bigger audience in the stadium than the AEW show.
No, they did not.
Go back and look at them pictures.
I mean, attendance
100%.
I thought, okay, you're just talking about attendance at the show itself, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. They had more people in that stadium for a press conference than they had for the live wrestling shows.
Yeah, but it wasn't a fucking press conference. It was a fucking promo battle, and we all knew that. It wasn't a press conference. And we all knew the fucking Rock was going to be there. People were going to show up for the Rock, even if it's just to boo him. Which they tried to flip the script on us. There were tweets from Cody the day before. It was like, just trust me, guys, or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, they're gonna fucking switch it somehow. And so he comes out and he's like, okay, I'm the winner of the Rumble. I choose what's gonna happen. After Roman was like, yeah, I'm gonna fight The Rock. We all knew that wasn't gonna happen. And so Cody comes out, is like, yeah, I'm challenging Roman, and then gets the shit slapped out of him by The Rock after invoking his grandfather's name and Roman's grandfather. I mean, let's get into that. I know we're going to spend some time on that. There were other things that happened, but these were the most important things that happened.
That was definitely a mix. I mean, you had a lot of Rocky sucks, but you also had a lot of Cody sucks going on in that crowd.
Yeah. Patrick, you look kind of indifferent. You just want your answer.
Listen. I'll say a couple different things. I'm about to jump all over the map here, so if I get lost, stop me. Let me just take the press conference in a vacuum. I thought it was a great idea. I thought it was executed really well. There was a reality element to it. Clearly, this is coming from, they are under the same umbrella as the UFC now, as a company, and this is what the UFC does well. These big kind of things. They're in the fight capital of the world. I thought Roman Reigns had a really good promo. I thought The Rock did a really great job. I would have hit Cody's music, but that's a little nitpick. Cody comes out because I guess it adds a little bit of element of, reality. This is not scripted. Things are just happening on the fly. I get that. First little negative with the four guys that are put together. He did this a little bit Monday. Somebody needs to get into Seth Rollins' ear and tell him it's time to step up. It's time to step up on the mic skills. You are getting torched left and right. You are taking strays. It's a drive-by. Like, he in his current iteration with the crazy outfits and the over-the-top cackling, he sticks out like a sore thumb in what this story is, which is this has gotten deeply personal between Cody and Roman and now Dwayne. I think they should stop calling him The Rock, by the way. I know they're not going to. This is not the story they're rolling with. This is just Dwayne Johnson, the board executive, not The Rock. But I'll get into why they might end up fumbling that too, I think. But Seth catching strays was a complaint of mine. I think he should have stepped up a little bit more.
Should have chosen some different shoes that night.
Yeah, but part of it might be if you take away the cackling and you take away the crazy outfits from Seth Rollins, what are you left with? And the answer might be you're not left with that much, which is why he has to keep doing that. Now, he showed a little bit more fire on Monday night. It still wasn't as like guttural and visceral as what I wanted it to be.
The fact that he was in Vegas and didn't wear the Elvis outfit that he wore on Monday night is a mystery to me, because that was a bargain basement Elvis outfit, the way he was wearing that jumpsuit underneath, and he was in Vegas. Could have been in that.
Yeah, but I think what I want to see from him, and maybe this is not what everybody wants to see from him, I kind of want to see a promo from Seth Rollins leading up to WrestleMania. Now, everybody has talked shit about him, right? Roman's called him second place. Roman has said no pop when Seth Rollins' name got invoked, whatever. CM Punk has also said you take away the song, he that's all he's got. I want to see the jacket come off. I want to see Seth with a microphone being like, you think all I am is these crazy suits and all this? I've been doing this because I'm bored, because I'm the best damn wrestler on this place. I've been holding this company down for a decade now. Like, I'm the measuring stick around here. Something like that. I need a little bit more fire. We'll see if I get it.
I think the babyface Rollins is the outfit in the song. He excels as a bad guy when this is what's weird. He's a good wrestler, and the crowd responds to it. But he's a better wrestler, which is weird to me, because usually it's the once you get noticing the villains, it's because they're wrestling amazing. But still, You know,
I just don't think that he probably doesn't have that type of fire. Not saying that he hasn't sacrificed or struggled, but he was a superstar on the Indies. He comes into WWE, he's the NXT champion. He comes into WWE in one of the hottest angles and probably the biggest faction that they've had. Like, he's always been positioned at the top. Not saying he hasn't grinded, but there hasn't been the Cody Rhodes type of story where he had to literally leave the company and come back for the company to see him as a star. They've always seen him as a star. So I don't know if he has another pitch in his arsenal necessarily to kind of get himself over in that way. But that's him. We'll see what he does for the next 2 months. The Rock, I thought, was also good because, again, for The Rock leading up to this story, I need to see less of The Rock and I need to see more of Dwayne Johnson. Like, if we're going to go down this route where we get Hollywood Rock and at some point he's in a ring with a guitar and he's doing these little catchy songs, he's doing these catchphrases, that's not what the story is either.
Right.
Like this.
Well, we did get some of that backstage, right? So when he's walking out, he's like, "Fix this shit," and they said shit, right? Yeah, and they said something else that they didn't beep out, but they beeped it out on television. They didn't beep it out in the quote unquote press conference. But we got a little bit of that backstage,
and that's what I need to see. That's the character I need to see going forward. I don't need to see The Rock and "Do you smell what I'm cooking?" and "Know your role and shut your mouth." Don't play them hits anymore. Some people might want you to see it, but if you're going to be a heel, go be Triple H circa 2014.
What I loved about this is when we talked last week, neither one of you was going to watch this press conference. It was, tell me what came out of it. And I was tweeting at you the entire time. And that just from the because I wasn't hitting all the points that they were hitting there either. I was just hitting the ones that popped me. And now y'all have both watched this thing.
I was sick on Friday. What did I have to do? I was laid up on the couch drinking Gatorade, fucking Alka-Seltzers.
But now I sung this story's praises.
Uh-huh. Oh,
so
no.
Let me get into the thing.
The one thing we talked about, I like the reality of it, where you kind of get when he came out there and laid out that giant family tree and getting to see just the dynasty of that family and I kind of agree with CM Punk I think is who said this when he got in his face and said your ancestors are ashamed of him, didn't throw hands. The dude I can't remember if it was The Rock or Roman who said it, your dad is irrelevant. How are you, when your whole story is based around your father, how are you not going to throw hands when the dude says your dad's irrelevant?
Because good guys should have a level of restraint to them. They shouldn't be. We're not at the point in the story now where they fly off the handle. That was basically the first shot. So now going forward, like Cody said, now it's probably, on site. Whatever see, but that's the first. So that's just a thing. Like, you don't want good guys should have some level of impulse control. They shouldn't be going out here. That's why they don't cheat. That's why they don't do these other types of things.
So two quick things. One, if we're going to nitpick about the lack of pop for anybody on Collision on Saturday and about how the mascot got over more than anybody else, The Rock spends a whole fucking minute talking about what you're about to see is the most amazing spectacle, and this, that, and the other. True. They show up the family tree, and it's like fucking crickets, right? So that's one.
Yeah.
Two is at the end of the show. I texted y'all about this. Punk says, if so-and-so says this, I'm throwing hands. And I texted y'all. I was like, yeah, bro, that's why you got fired from your last job. Oh.
That's what I love him saying that though, because that's hilarious to me. He can't say shit about anything over there, but he's still saying shit about everything over there, and it's beautiful.
I mean, yeah.
Can I get into the bad of it now? Because this shit really ticked me off. Okay. Again, I have now sat through a press conference. I have sat through Friday Night SmackDown. I have sat through Monday Night Raw. Keep in mind how this entire thing started. Cody Rhodes comes out to make his final decision about who's going to face at the Royal Rumble, and he gives it away to The Rock. Okay? That happened on screen. Zero explanation. So the same thing that we complain about AEW where it's all this dirt sheet stuff, all this behind the scenes stuff, blah 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 blah. The stories don't make any sense. I want someone to explain to me in kayfabe how we have gotten The Rock inserted in this situation. No, I don't want any squared circle things. I don't want no Wrestling Observer reports. Kayfabe, how has The Rock inserted himself into this position? Because what they're trying to tell you is that he's now a member of the board and has put himself in this situation. But again, that is not what happened. Cody was willing to give away his spot, and now Cody kind of looks like a dickhead and an asshole because now he is just like, nah, actually, I am going to fight at WrestleMania after I told you could have it.
Now, again, they have not explicitly explained this, and so we're having to do the work, and I agree.
But they're not going to at this point. They're not.
I don't think they are either.
They're washing their hands of it.
Unless they're going to do it on Friday and have The Rock say it and have him come off as the jerk. But we are having to do the work, and yeah, I agree we are just going to try to overlook the entire thing. Is that it seems to be their mentality. But the work that I have is that when Cody was trying to decide who he was going to go after, he talked to this guy who I'm assuming used his legendary status, his board approval, his board power to say, no, you can't do that. And I think here's what the issue is. And it makes me mad that this is why we can't do this story. If that was the plan that you were going to go to, where somebody on the board was using their power over you, you can't tell that story anymore because of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Right. And so you have to hard pivot. And that's kind of where I'm going. I think they're going with this now because you can't do that plot line, because if you do, it puts the spotlight on the very thing that you were hoping this whole shit would put into the shadows, as you had the limelight on them. And that sucks. And it makes me so damn mad that this billionaire MFer can't keep his damn penis in his pants. And he has to do this. If all the allegations are true, I hope he gets everything he deserves. Not just for, and I'm not saying that because of the storyline. Yeah, I'm saying that because he is a piece of shit who needs to be as far from anything as possible. But I understand why they can't go. You can't tell that story anymore. So yeah, I guess you have to do the Wizard of Oz thing here and be like, pay no attention to the story beat that we were going to do over here because whatever. But even still, you shouldn't have given that line because you knew it was coming. You should have changed the script, and I don't know if that was. See,
I'm convinced now. I don't think they had a plan. I don't think that they knew that The Rock was going to get booed and that the fans were going to be behind Cody this way. Otherwise, that line it literally makes zero sense. There are much better ways to go. Like, I don't think that they thought fans were going to be this upset about pitching The Rock and Roman Reigns. I honest to God, I think that they thought they could pivot because Punk got hurt. They could do Cody and they could do Seth and they could do Rock and Roman, and everything was going to be hunky-dory. And I think the shitstorm of the internet, kudos to them in actuality for making a turn and booking it on the fly, so to speak, and pulling all this stuff together. Because otherwise, narrative-wise, none of this makes any sense, because now they are trying to recreate the Daniel Bryan Yes movement. But again, like I said last week, the thing about the Daniel Bryan Yes movement was that Daniel Bryan wasn't even in the Royal Rumble that year, leading up to WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble. He gets to choose who he faces at WrestleMania. They're like, because Cody's promo Monday even didn't make any sense. Because Monday he comes out there and he goes, oh, well, it looks like we were going to get Rock and Roman, but now plans have changed. Why? Because you guys changed it. You guys chose it. It's like, no, man, you did the work. You won the Rumble. That's how it works. That's how wrestling works. That's how this Royal Rumble has worked since you started it. Whoever wins gets the WrestleMania main event. You can't just change it. You can't just give it away and expect me to just be like, I guess it's what they're going to do. I guess they're just going to make a change of plans.
But again,
Jamie
that's
was like, go ahead.
I was going to say that's the subtle way of them telling you that the board member was taking advantage of his power.
Jamie looked at me during the thing and was like, "Why the fuck are we looking at The Rock?" She's like, "Where is he? Why is he on the show all of a sudden?" She's like, "Shouldn't he be like in a movie or something?" I was like, "He's on the board now. He can do whatever the fuck he wants." I was like, this was supposed to happen last year, but they couldn't because of his schedule. And I said, now, conveniently, he's buys himself onto the board a few weeks ago, and now he's going to be, possibly headlining WrestleMania.
And I don't mind a bad guy Rock being an authority figure, using that to turn Roman eventually as he realizes he's living in the shadow of this other dude that's calling all the shots. I'm fine with that, and I agree with you. I would like to have that explanation, but if you listen to the crowd, they don't care.
Yeah, but this is not. If we're going to complain about the way AEW does things. Like you complained about rankings that barely on the show. This is literally the biggest story going into the biggest event. And it is a hodgepodge of let's just throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks.
It's sticking though.
Crazy.
The fact that you had Cody come out there with Seth and do a 20-minute back and forth dialogue and the crowd was eating it up and chanting Rocky sucks repeatedly. I mean, what else do you want? I mean, that is the crowd responding. That is them saying that we don't give a shit about that one line that we're hung up on. Much like you're telling me to give up on the other things, I think we have to give up on the line, that line.
But still, no one has. We have hinted around and we've danced around now. We've had two WWE programs post this press conference where they have just danced around what it is. What is this story? Is this The Rock as a new TKO board member throwing his weight around and wanting to come into the main event? Is that what the story is? And if so, it's been 5 hours of programming since then. Why hasn't anybody said it?
It may be, we didn't have The Rock. Yeah, we didn't have The Rock on Friday. We just had Triple H, talking his shit subtly to The Rock without calling out The Rock, but calling out The Rock, which was fun. The somebody executing their authority, knowing their roles, etc., hitting all those key trademark phrases. So we didn't get him on Friday. We got Cody giving his half-ass explanation on Monday. We got Seth trying to be better and only being half there because. Let's face it, he can't do crap right now. He's essentially playing the Adam Cole role in the title role of AEW because he's not doing anything till Mania anyway. So the hope is when you get Roman and The Rock on Friday, we might. But again, I'm not holding my breath just because the story that I think they were going to tell, they can't legitimately tell without sabotaging themselves.
And if this is all just a long con to finally get people to cheer for Roman Reigns, I said it last week. That's one hell of a gamble. We'll see if it pays off for you. Because I have seen 7 years of babyface Roman Reigns and it never worked. What's the definition of insanity? That old saying, Maybe it'll work this time. I don't know.
I don't know if I've talked about this. I hate Roman Reigns. I am firmly in the anyone but Roman camp for years and years. I could not get that man off the screen quick enough. I have enjoyed the bad guy of it. I'm not opposed to the return of the face Reigns run, but I need it to be in a Andre the Giant style position where he's not near the title anymore. He's just an attraction event that pops up 3 or 4 times a year and is off.
That's what he's doing right now. That's been Roman Reigns for the past 2 years. That's the same thing he's been doing.
And maybe that's the key to making me like Roman Reigns is not having him around.
Cody had that one line the other night. What did he say about you haven't been cooking in the kitchen for the last 2 years or whatever?
Oh, yeah, you call yourself the head of the table, but neither one of you have been cooking for the past 2 years.
I thought it was going back to Cody's promo. I thought it needed to be said. He just didn't get it across. The Rock is going to need to step up his promos to get that realistic thing as well. I don't need the Pat McAfee shoving chicken nuggets up your butt promos from the 1990s, but I think Cody could have delivered that better.
Yeah, if we get that Rock, I'm for real going to be heated going into WrestleMania because, again, that is a hodgepodge of you're throwing a bunch of shit together. That's not what this story is. If you're telling me this story is Dwayne Johnson, again, I keep saying, this is not The Rock. This is literally Dwayne Johnson. The dude was in Fast and Furious movies, the dude that failed at Black Adam. It's Dwayne The Rock Johnson is the one that's on the board, not The Rock. So this is Dwayne inserting himself, trying to use his authority to insert himself into the biggest event of WWE pretty much of all time. This is going to be a huge number that they're going to do. Pulling away one of the biggest, brightest stars that company's seen in a long time and a deserving champion in Cody Rhodes. Tell me that story. And tell me in a realistic way, follow through with what the press conference is. Let's not do the middle school jokes. Let's not do any. Let's get to the nitty gritty of it. Let's make it feel as real as we can. And then I will enjoy this WrestleMania. But if I don't get any of that, I guess I'm going to come in here on this podcast every single week and bitch about what this is. Because the only thing I have are these promos. This match ain't going to be no good. I'm not going to get Swerve and Hangman from Dynamite. I'm not going to get freaking any of these shitty, even the shitty AEW matches are better than 95% of the WWE matches. So if you don't give me good promos, what the hell am I watching for?
Yeah. I turned on, I saw Mark Briscoe and Brody King go at it for 10, 15 minutes the other night. Was entertained as hell and didn't have any story. Didn't need a story. You just got two dudes going at it.
Oh, that had a story. I mean, that was fallout from House of Black FTR 7.
Yeah. Sure.
So, I mean, but that's going to be a repeat story because it's going to be the same story they told with FTR, only with whoever Briscoe finds.
I do like Cody assembling the Avengers, though, basically, to take down this guy. Although, again, we can't be consistent on what Roman Reigns is. Is Roman Reigns a cheater or is Roman Reigns a monster? What is he? Because there's two different things.
He's a monster cheater.
Not how that works. Not how that works. People shouldn't be scared of cheaters. You should be scared of monsters. You should be scared of Gunther because Gunther beats the shit out of people and beats them by himself. I don't know why anybody would be scared of Roman Reigns. It's all his lackeys that are doing the work. We ain't seen Roman Reigns put nobody on the shelf in 2.5 years.
But again, you've had that pointed out in story already by Drew, who is pointing out the flaws in the storytelling, and I'm fine with that. If they want to point out all the flaws, that makes it more real, and I like that kind of reality they're bringing to it. But I mean, I think why I'm not as furious about what you're saying is because I've already admitted that the match between The Rock and Roman is going to suck. He's going to. I mean, we saw what he did last time he was in a WrestleMania match. It was a rough match. He tore his ab early on. Because what I stand by is if you're not doing this on a regular basis, when you try to do those kind of extreme things, you're going to injure yourself. We know that I've said Seth Rollins is when you had the Shield, Dean Ambrose was your vocal guy, Seth Rollins was your workhorse, and Roman was the quiet monster, and that was a perfect role for him. So the fact that Seth is not excelling on the mic isn't a surprise to me. I think the laughing maniac character is okay. I think that he's doing what he can with what he's given and showcasing where he can. But I mean, it's all the things that you're still upset about is stuff that I've accepted for months. And you're still heated about this because I've been saying we were gonna get a Rock match for forever. And the fact that they've changed it somewhat, I'm still not convinced we're not going to get Roman Reigns main eventing 2 nights of WrestleMania.
I think they were setting. I mean, last night they set up Seth and Cody versus Roman and Rock, right, for night 2. That was the whole point of that segment.
I don't know if that's going to happen. I think that might happen sooner than the second night.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they're going to do that sooner than WrestleMania. I think the 2 championships are going to headline both nights of WrestleMania. But you mentioned Dean Ambrose. You know who'd be a really good substitute for Seth Rollins in this promo if he was still in the company? Dean Ambrose. Because everything he does well is what Seth Rollins doesn't do well. And everything he does well is what this story's trying to be. Yeah. Real, gritty, like...
Seth is the fourth. He's breaking the fourth wall in it because he is the least believable character in this story.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know if he's got the same level of fastball that these other guys have when it comes to that. Now he's a hell of a wrestler. He's the best one of those 4, I think. Not by a long shot, because Cody's really good in the ring too. But he's the best in-ring worker in a company that, the in-ring work is behind the promos and the entrances and the pyro and the merchandise and the catchphrases and all the other stuff. You go going down the list, you're like, all right, yeah, it's about
social media
6 or 7, yeah. But
we've been about 30 minutes on that one. Let's switch gears and talk about some of the other things. We got a couple of quick things, I guess, from SmackDown and Raw. We had a couple of Elimination Chamber qualifiers. We don't have to really spend any time on those. Do you think Jey Uso has a shot against Gunther?
No.
Or does Gunther retains?
I'm the fact that this is a pre-WrestleMania match tells you what kind of chance he has.
Yeah.
The Jey will be against Jimmy, and WrestleMania is going to set up to be a Fall of the Bloodline type of event. So everybody that has some kind of, like, you're probably going to see Sammy and Solo, or like you're going to see a bunch of those little things like that. So Jimmy and Jey that's the main WrestleMania.
Because like you were describing it as the Avengers Assembled, I love that analogy, because you need those heroes to mitigate what Drew has pointed out, that the family will interfere. You will not win if the family can interfere. Now, when they showed that tree, I understand that that's a legitimate family tree. There's some names on there that if they show up, it might be fun. I could live with a Jacob Fatu showing up.
Yeah, whatever. I just keep it. I'd be more interested, and not to be dismissive of that. You know what I would be more interested in? If Drew McIntyre joins forces with the Bloodline to help them in their war against whoever Cody assembles. To me, that would be a better use of him.
Let's talk hypothetically here. What would it take for Tony Khan to lend Dustin to WWE, and would Dustin do it?
Dustin would do it in a heartbeat.
To be part of the Cody story.
I would do it. I would let Dustin do it. Why not?
Yeah. But what do you want in return? Just knowing that you look like the good guy?
AEW's Dustin Rhodes. Yeah. AEW, he gets to wear his AEW shirts. Yeah.
You basically give him the Jordan Grace treatment of letting her, whatever shine,
Sure.
The bigger question would be, why, let's dream a little bit bigger. If Kenny Omega was healthy, why would you not, hey, you calling about Dustin Rhodes? Well, Kenny Omega and him have a thing. Like Cody did the little gun salute. Would you want Kenny Omega at WrestleMania in some kind of capacity? But that might not happen because of, his sickness or whatever. Dustin makes a logical sense.
Sure.
I don't think WWE would take the Young Bucks just based off of that thing. I think they would have taken. I think they would have taken Kenny Omega though, for real. I think that they had some good. They were circling reports where they were circling around Kenny Omega when his contract was up. So I think there's probably some good graces there where he probably could have done something. But no, if they wanted to, I think Dustin would be a logical fit in the story.
What about let's talk about R-Truth being a member of DX now.
Let's because we're talking about things that would have been nice, because we're still under the impression that he hasn't signed his contract. Well, how big would you pop if MJF showed up to help Cody win?
Oh, I mean, that'd be something.
Yeah.
That'd be something. That'd be a moment, sure.
I don't know. Hadn't even occurred to me. I'd seen a couple people talking about Dustin on Twitter, but I mean, where is MJF in his recovery?
I mean, heck, maybe that's why WWE can't offer the money that Monet and Okada want, because they have dumped, pulled the Brinks truck up behind MJF.
Shit.
Listen,
hey, that's a WrestleMania moment for sure.
Yeah, if he shows up, that'd be insane. I put that probability happening a little bit less than what I throw out. John Moxley challenging Allin for the title.
Yeah.
So that's just about the same probability as that happening, probably.
Oh, it will never happen. But man, I'll tell you, I would be like it would be a holy shit moment.
I don't know, because clearly, listen, AEW is not competition to WWE. Okay, maybe 4 years ago they might have been. 3 years ago maybe they might have been. They're not. Okay, they don't have the fan base. They don't have the ratings. Why not just do some cool moments and establish some kind of goodwill? I don't know. Maybe it's too much. Maybe when you're talking about billionaires and their personalities, these things don't work. But like,
Tony's talked too much shit on WWE. I mean,
true.
Cody did the same thing though while he was on a fucking pay-per-view on, talking about that other company and all this and that and the other. He came out hot.
There's only one man that's ever smashed a throne on another program, and he was about to headline WrestleMania. So never say never, I guess.
So I mentioned this earlier, but R-Truth thinks he's in DX now. That was funny as shit. He thinks he thought he was on screen with Shawn Michael and Triple H last night.
That was, I mean, if anybody looked like a miniature Triple H, Ciampa does.
Heavy on the miniature. He's about 600 milligrams of testosterone away from being a week from being Triple H. But no, that was funny. I love R-Truth. Like, this is the stuff like I wish AEW would kind of do more with their mid-card guys, which is just like let them have something to do. Let them have a story because it's getting over. It's getting a reaction. It still is making the Judgment Day look foolish, but that ship has long since sailed about them being like a, dangerous villain stable.
Although they are trying to right that ship with this storyline at this stage. When they had JD went over in that match, they had the beatdown afterwards. I mean, so you have them somewhat trying to right that ship. Do I think it's sailed? 100%. Do I think there's a possibility that Damian Priest comes out of WrestleMania holding Cody Rhodes' belt? 100%.
Oh, bro, I'll stop watching. We won't talk about that. If that happens, we'll stop watching WWE. If Damian Priest catches in, that's it. I'm going to shut the podcast down. I'm not doing it anymore.
It fits the storyline, though, of he gets that moment, he gets the belt, you need to time it specifically so he gets it the exact same number of seconds his dad has, and bam, that belt's gone.
Steven, I swear to God, if that comes true, just the way like you did all this bullshit with The Rock, you talking about this, if this comes true, I'm going to have to lay hands on you. There's no other way. I'm going to have to physically assault you if that's what happens. Because I'm no longer going to be able to watch wrestling.
Patrick is going CM Punk.
I'm just going to lay hands.
If that happens, please God, do not let that happen.
That would, because he can't finish, as Triple H said a year ago, you can't finish the story.
Do you have a source? Do you have a source inside WWE that feeds you information?
I text with Triple H occasionally.
It has to be.
Listen,
when R-Truth called for the Miz, he actually reached me.
Not once has that crossed my mind, and just the very fucking thought of it right now, I'm not gonna be able to fucking sleep tonight. I'm gonna be so goddamn mad.
That's all I'm gonna be able to think about.
I'm sorry. I could have spread my misery because I just watched my Carolina West throw away their Super Bowl ring opportunity on a missed extra point and taking the ball first in the overtime. So you're going to have to suffer like me over something. So let that be the fact that Damian Priest may cash in here.
That would be some repayment for the smashing of the throne right there. That is some petty ass shit. That is all-time Hall of Fame petty, if that shit were to happen.
That's Richard Petty. If that happens, my man Cody should go back right to AEW. Just walk your happy ass right out of Lincoln Financial Field. Walk right into the AEW locker room like nothing happened.
But the Philadelphia screw job.
But again, it would keep him. It would get heat on Damian Priest. It would make him nuclear hot right there. He would be the biggest villain possible. And you then have elevated potentially Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes with The Rock.
You would lose so many fucking viewers, don't you think?
I'm gonna beat your ass if that happens. No. I'm gonna beat your ass if that happens.
I don't think you'd lose a single viewer.
You'd lose me. I'd be the one.
Two. Right here. There's two
right here.
My wife would stop. Last night she was like, I never thought I would be rooting for fucking Cody Rhodes. She's like, but I want him to beat Roman's ass. I want him to beat The Rock's ass. She's like, no, I never thought I would, because she didn't see the appeal of Cody, but she's so mad at like The Rock inserting himself. I can't. I don't know what else do we have after that tonight? Do we have anything else? I don't think we do.
I will say,
how do you top that?
I like that idea if the briefcase is on anybody else but Damian Priest. If Drew McIntyre has it, okay.
Oh, tell me that wouldn't be, with the way he's been talking crap about CM Punk. Oh, that would be. Oh man, but you are making a villain with that briefcase, potentially having it to the second of how long his dad had that title.
But I don't think Damian's the guy to have it.
They wanted us to think that this was a squandered job of the briefcase, and while we're every fucking week talking about what are they doing with this briefcase? If they were to do this shit, that'd be an all-timer.
And then you have him win it again in Madison Square Garden where his dad had it, and that's where he finally gets his moment.
That's some long time ass storytelling. That's some J.R.R. Tolkien shit right there.
Yeah, I'm not finishing that book. That's a long ass book. I'm gonna put it down. Y'all can just give me the cliff notes about what happens after the fact.
Well, that's what I'm titling the episode. That's a long ass book. Yeah, I don't know that we have anything else to discuss. Do y'all have any quick hitters before we wrap up? Because I think we've hit our high point.
I'll just say Patrick Mahomes is Super Thanos, and if you don't like the results of the Super Bowl, the next 8 to 10 years is going to be real rough for you, because he about to snap away everybody. Everybody you love is about to get a damn snap, and Mahomes going to have 13 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I don't like hearing it, but I know there's truth to it.
He is inevitable.
Yeah, you got the fucking offensive player of the year on the other side. Like, right? Wasn't McCaffrey the offensive player of the year?
He was. But
and you got fucking Debo. Now, granted, Debo got hurt. You got Ayuk, who was basically nothing in this game on the opposite side of the field. But is Kelsey the number one fucking receiver on the Chiefs at tight end, or does somebody else top him?
Him and Rashee Rice.
Okay, yeah.
At this stage, I have to assume that it is that the same people that are writing WWE are writing NFL, because the number of stupid ass things that San Francisco had to do in order to let them win is astronomical.
Bro, the coach has blown 3 different double-digit leads in Super Bowls.
Well, here's the kicker.
I saw that somewhere today. I was like,
the Chiefs traded away Tyreek Hill, who is objectively the best receiver in the NFL this past season, and they won back-to-back Super Bowls after trading him. Like, They literally just won a Super Bowl with a receiver who caught a 7-yard curl and ran backwards and lost 4 yards, and they still won the Super Bowl. What do you think is going to happen next year when they get better? Like, it's over. I'm sorry. The NFL is over. If you're like Corey and you just stopped watching WWE because you said it got boring and you didn't like it, you're going to probably have to turn off the NFL for the next decade because it's going to be the Chiefs versus whoever.
This was like me 17, 18 years ago when I swore I wouldn't watch the Super Bowl anymore if it was the fucking Patriots and Giants again.
How many Super Bowls back-to-back do they win before they have to break up that team?
They don't, because here's the scary part. The defense is all made of first and second year players. They're all on rookie contracts making nothing. Travis Kelce's going to restructure the deal. They're not paying Isaiah Pacheco anything. They weren't supposed to win it. They were punting away these past 2 seasons. And 15 is so damn good they still won the Super Bowl. So, like, we literally went from Tom Brady to Patrick Mahomes. Like, we thought Tom Brady was Michael Jordan. No.
Okay, I've changed my prediction of what it needs to happen. Damian Priest needs to show up with the briefcase and just clock his ass from behind. Right in the middle of the game.
It won't work. It won't even work. It won't even work. I think Mahomes it'll probably pass right through him.
Ah, well, I got nothing.
Yeah. I think we'll wrap it up on that note. Y'all follow Alabama Slam. It's at Alabama Slam Pod on Instagram and Threads. You can follow the Alabama Take on all social media. The Alabama Take is our network of fellow podcasters. We got sports podcasts, Star Wars podcasts, book podcasts, TV podcasts. I think I got them all there. Or go to thealabamatake.com. All the podcasts are posted there weekly. And we've got merch on tpublic.com. You can search for the Alabama Slam or go to the Alabama Take store and buy t-shirts or stickers or any of that kind of shit. And we would be greatly appreciative. And we will talk to y'all next week. And we will probably be just as mad about wrestling.
Yep.
Probably not football though. We got a few more months until football kicks in. But yeah, we'll probably be mad about wrestling again next week, and we'll see y'all then.